All right, it's 3 a.m. and I'm at the parking spot west. Haven't parked at a parking spot in quite a while. And I have a reservation on my app. Nobody's here. Am I gonna get through? Hang on. I'll go through this one over here. Okay, so yeah, 25% off discount. So it's 11 something a day, but 25% off is like really good for Denver. The airport parking went up to $18 a day, which is bullshit. Last year, 2 years ago, it was only $11. So, okay, let's go in. That guy's so nice. He's like, follow me if you want to live. I mean, no, he's like, follow me, I'm your driver. I was like, okay. So yeah, so I'm going to Uncovered, which is to my left. And he's just waiting there. I'm the only one, I think, at 3 o'clock with a reservation. So that's really cool, because I called them up and they said, well, we only have the shuttle overnight if somebody like actually needs it. We don't just run every like 10 minutes. And so he was sitting there waiting for me. Look at that parking spot. You totally redeemed yourself. Not that you like needed to. You've always been pretty good. Just always a little bit more expensive than the ones in Houston, the options that I have. Parking at the Sheraton or the Doubletree. But yeah, so I'm gonna follow him. Nobody's gonna steal my bikes from here. Trust me. Nobody's gonna know that someone's dumb enough to leave their bikes on the back of their freaking van. Anyway, it's cold. It's 48 degrees, which is nice. So let's see where he's going to take me. This is great. This is like the best. I mean, this is a new parking lot too. They bought this from another company. So parking spot west, your guy will save your life in the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, I don't know how much I can film today because my memory is getting full on my phones, but I'm gonna tell you something. This is a pretty sweet deal. I've lucked out. I tell you, like, you've got to have like your village, your tribe, your fixers. Like Itchy Boots. When Itchy Boots is riding her motorcycle around the world, she finds the people that can help get it done, and that's what you have to do. You just gotta find your fixers. I don't have any cash on me though. Shit. Oh, I don't have any cash to tip the driver. Oh well, hopefully he'll be my driver on the way back. You know, not that I'm coming back at 3 o'clock in the morning. But a lot of these guys that do these overnight jobs, you know, it's like their second gig. So, you know, and they like, some of them just do it because they like to meet people, you know, and just be social. Because one guy in Houston, he's oil and gas, makes a lot of money, but he likes working at the Doubletree so that he can just like meet people that aren't, you know, old oil and gas guys. And he's like a pretty young guy. Amar, that's it. He gave me his phone number. He's like, you want to hang out sometime? I'm like, I'm never here, dude. Like, I am not literally here. Okay, so I'm gonna park here. He wants me to park in this spot, but I'm gonna have to figure out, hang on 1 second. He's telling my friend about my van. Okay, great turnout. There's like hardly any seats on this thing. Everybody stands. Okay, there's Prue. Bye, Prue. It's 3 o'clock in the freaking morning. All right, there's Frontier. There is my van. And nobody's here. So it's early. Okay, let me go in here. I'm gonna sit and eat my breakfast for a minute. I haven't been in the Denver airport since actually last October when I came back from Baltimore. There's an episode of me sleeping in the airport here. There is a sleeping area. I was contemplating whether I should camp out there, but I think I'm gonna go over here for a minute. There's like creepy apocalyptic elevator music playing, you know, like when you know, like the world's abandoned and like it's playing, you know, some sort of happy-go-lucky 80s song. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna sit here for a second, put everything down. I think I've got everything. Yeah, so my driver was from Afghanistan and he's got 13 family members here. They're here on asylum and he's the only one that's allowed to work, which I think is one of the flaws of any of our systems in terms of asylum and immigration. I mean, like, none of his family members can get a job. They don't speak English except him. He worked for the US military in Afghanistan and then he ended up getting asylum here. And so he works like 4 jobs. And he said he likes driving the bus because he gets tips. So I tipped him $20 because he's like, I got 5 kids. I've got to get shoes for school. I was like, oh man, I know how it is. I mean, my mom worked multiple jobs to take care of us, and we moved to America basically with a suitcase. So I get it. We didn't come from a war-torn area. We came from North London, which I guess kind of is war-torn, coming from Watford. But no, like, I applaud people that want to come here and make the world better. You know, they're not coming here to freeload. That's the thing. That's the myth, is that, oh, they're just coming here to freeload off the system. He doesn't live on the system. He works 4 jobs. So anyone that, you know, wants to complain about people coming here, his family wants to work. His kids want to go to college and get jobs and contribute and have a better life. But when you have an asylum seeker and only one person in the family is allowed to work, and they have to take care of us and sponsor everybody else, it's difficult, you know. But he's not in the system. Trust me, he's working 4 jobs. So yeah, so just keep in mind, talk to people when you're talking to people that, you know, especially in America, people, they sound like they're from someone else. Just start chatting. You'd learn something. I mean, I've been everywhere, so I can usually relate to somebody that's from another country. But yeah, I mean, I joined the military because I was going to be a Farsi translator. And that was 20 years ago. I may have gone to Afghanistan if I'd been able to stay in and not been injured. So who knows? My life would have been drastically different than what it is now. I still would have traveled. I just would have traveled for a different reason. So anyway, okay. So let me eat my food down here. The cleaning a little car. It's like my van life car. Imagine doing van life in that. Anyway, okay. And then I'm going to go through TSA in a minute. It's only 3 a.m. so I don't think anything's open right now. So there's actually a whole subculture of people that live at airports full time, and they just live in the area of the airport before you check in. Yeah, there's actually, I think Denver is one of the ones that was in this documentary I was watching. But yeah, I mean, it's 24 hours, they're not going to kick you out. So, okay, let's go through. I'm at Frontier. So let's see. A JetBlue, poor JetBlue. It's got that, you can be on a Jet2 holiday for £50. All right, so I'm on Frontier, Southwest, and United. Okay, they're playing Neil Young, I think. Again, it's like apocalyptic, happy music. Okay, everyone's checking in, 1,000 million suitcases. This airport's massive. I used to fly through here when I used to fly from college to California, from Indianapolis to Los Angeles. Indianapolis never flew direct, so I always had to go through Chicago O'Hare. I had to go through Denver, and Denver I think had just opened back in the 90s, the new airport, and it's the longest airport in the world. And I used to like walk laps on my layover for exercise. You could easily walk a couple miles. So security is down here, that's right. It's been so long since I've been here. This Southwest, and I already have my boarding pass. All right, so TSA pre-check is closed. TSA pre-check over here. Sometimes TSA pre-check is closed, but it's open right now, so that's good. So I don't go in the peasant line. I paid for this shit. Oh, that's right. This is the one that has the weird, like, alien pods that you're going to be, like, transported to another system, solar system or something, another galaxy. All right, that was pretty easy. I got the pat down. Well, no, I didn't. They did the little drug test thing on my arm, which I'll have to do for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I can take it off, but I'm not about to take this thing off in the middle of the airport. But anyway, I don't have to. So I'm at A77. That tells you how big this airport is. They don't even do a TSA pre-check here. Everyone's just kind of under the same boat. They're like, we love everybody equally. Nobody needs to take their shoes off. We're nicer than the other airports in Denver. That's what the guy was going on about. It's kind of funny. I was like, you are way too chipper for 3 o'clock in the morning. So now I have to take a train. What the hell? Frontier A. I don't even know where I am.
The train is arriving.
The train is arriving. Why am I taking a train? I don't want to take a train. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, let's go down here. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, open door. All right. I'm so confused. There's no seats in here.
To all 8 gates. Please continue to hold on.
Please watch your step.
It's a roller coaster. A gates. There's nobody here. All right, there's empty Denver. I've been in too many airports in my life in the last couple of years where nobody's been there. I could be missing a zombie apocalypse. There could be all hell breaking loose, and I'm stuck in here like Shaun of the Dead, you know, stuck in a airport trying to fight off, you know, crazy people. And again, how big Denver is. Gates A1 through 39, A40 to 99. There's 100 gates in this freaking place. Okay, I've been through here before. This exact terminal last year. Okay, so I'm going to Houston, and again, nobody's here. All right, we're boarding. We have to go out to the runway. When I came in October last year, my friend threw a snowball at me. I was like, what are you doing? Okay. And if they can walk up the ramp. This is not very ADA accessible. All right, we had to wait for the wheelchair. Oh, my back hurts. Okay, up we go. Not very ADA accessible. You can't walk, like, you have to wait for the wheelchair to go up and come back down before anybody can walk up there. But yeah, there's everyone coming out. Like Burbank. Okay, I'm in 11D. So let's go on here. All right, here we go. I'm in 11D. I think your little plane. Budget airline, 11D. Okay, let me do this. I gotta undo everything. All right, so Frontier comes out in the D gate. So I need to go to Skyway to A. And there's the USO, but we're not allowed in if we're veterans. It's only for active duty, I think. Let me double check. Into the USO. Yeah. Yeah, as of January 1, if you're a veteran, you're not allowed in the USO, which is kind of stupid. Okay, all right, let's go. Yeah, because if you have PTSD and you're triggered and you need a safe space, you don't really have one. I mean, you could try to find an empty gate or something, but it's not the same. All right, so now I'm gonna go to Skyway and go take the shuttle that rearranges your spine. Yeah, the Spirit area just pops you right out, but this one, I should take the stairs. I get some exercise. All right, let's go downstairs. It's hot. Okay, it's overcast. So after this, I'm gonna go get my car at the Holiday Inn and then go get groceries and go get my mail and then go home. So yeah, short weekend, leaving Monday at 12:45 p.m. I'm gonna go down the stairs. A little bit of legwork. Down we go. So even though my spine is horrid and my ground transportation baggage claim this way. Yeah, even though my spine is horrible, my you know, I can't use my hands or anything. My legs are incredibly strong. By the way, the World Cup for soccer is here next year. That would be pretty awesome. Baggage claim down here. So yes, I'm back in the A terminal. It's hot and sticky. I gotta go use the restroom and then go get the shuttle. And I'm here 2 hours later than I originally had planned because I thought I was gonna fly in from Bozeman on that red eye, but ended up taking the flight today, which actually wasn't too bad. It's only an hour and a half. So this 14-year-old kid next to me, he was like, he'd only flown twice in his life. This was his second time. It was kind of funny. He's like, there was a baby crying on the other flight. And I was like, get used to it, kid. Get used to it. You used to be that kid. So, okay, there's my old stomping ground. Okay, let's go and see how bad the line is this time. Oh, it's busy. Yep. Okay, this might be my shuttle. Let's see. Are you JFK? Oh, that's quick. Thank you. Great turnout. Okay. Go back here. Let's sit in this one here. All right, it is hot, sticky, and humid. Hopefully my car's still here. I'm 2 hours later than I had said that I was going to be back. So on the way.com app, that's the best way to find airport parking. A lot of hotels offer airport parking now. Well, they have for the last couple of years. So when I was in Los Angeles, the way.com said it was like $4 a day, but they wanted a $35 a day fee for, quote, oversized vehicle, which my vehicle is not an oversized vehicle. It's the same wheelbase as that pickup truck. So, but they were just trying to like nickel and dime you and, you know, highway robbery and all that stuff. So I ended up parking at the marina, Marina Lot 8, I think it was. There's video on it from 2 years ago in Marina Del Rey, and or Marina Del Raw, as the Californians say on SNL. It's like, take Fountain to the 101 to, you know, you got to watch it. It's so accurate. But anyway, so in Marina Del Raw, that's where they have the port, and you can park for $10 a day, so up to 7 days. You just get a little ticket. So yeah, I just happened to have been gone for 7 days that time, and yeah, just left the van there. So I got the tracker going on Prudence. They parked me way out in BFE this morning, but yeah, that wasn't too bad. It's 11 a.m. so I've been up since 2 a.m. I slept for 3 hours at the airport, and I didn't sleep on the plane at all. I just watched a movie because I was already kind of awake. So but yeah, glad I slept. Probably could have slept another hour, but I got up and this woman was just like running her mouth about being kicked off a plane or something. I'm like, I don't think you should get on our plane, lady. I think I've been on a plane with her before. She looked very like psycho crazy familiar. So I don't know, you get a lot of live wires at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, where's my car? I cannot emphasize how wet and sticky it feels. I hate this. And I had 3 glorious weeks in Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, and Colorado. And now I'm back in sticky Houston. There's my car. There she is. Is she broken into? No. I gotta take that thing off the back. Yeah, there she is. There's my girl. I gotta get rid of this piece of shit. I don't want it anymore. I don't need an SUV. I just want like a cheapo car. Anyway, let me put everything in. Okay, cool. I gotta vacuum her and get some food. I will say I'm incredibly grateful that this time I don't have to go sleep in the cell phone lot for 3 hours. I need a lot of sleep. I am so active that I value my sleep, and sleep is when... Who hit my window? Sleep is when you... Somebody pushed did I push these in? I don't think I did. Anyway, I don't even know. Is this my car? This is my car. Yeah, they go by the day, thankfully, not by the time. So that said, I could have come back at midnight and it'd be perfectly fine. Okay, somewhere in here is my key. My key is in my bag somewhere. Oh, it's hot. Okay, I do have my key because the car's starting. There's my emotional support chickies that Harriet got me. They're the best. Okay. Oh, it's so hot. Why is it so hot? This is horrible. Anyway, I gotta get some food.